Occurred June 30, 1981. 2100 Location, Paragon. In shape, sphere. Duration, 5 minutes. Orange ball in sky that looked like oblong sun that put out no light. It was around 1980 or 1981. I was at Ball Park in Paragon, I was on bleachers on north side of Ball Park. It was night and I was there with friend whose dad was there next to Ball Park at Horseshoe Court in tournament. Between the hills to the north of town and the Graveyard Hill to the east of town there is a space that kinda forms a V-shape opening. As me and my friend were atop the bleachers we noticed in the opening between the hills a large orange object in sky. It appeared to resemble the sun except it did not extend light from itself. Also it was like the sun except it was like someone taking a ball and smashing down from top and bottom, making it oblong shape. The object moved from behind one hill and slowly moved across opening till it disappeared behind the other hill. After a few secs it reappeared and slowing moved back till it went behind the hill it came from the first time. I was as though not everyone could see what we were seeing. I looked over to Horseshoe Court and was amazed that none of the adults playing horseshoes seemed not to see this large orange thing in the sky. At which point my curiosity got the better of me and I had decided that if it reappeared then I was going to get on my huffy bike and take it out in country in that direction to get a better look. A few secs later after it disappeared the second time it reappeared and started slowly back the direction as it did the first time. So I took off all alone as my friends were too afraid to go with me. I can't say I wasn't afraid myself, I was just more curious. About 1/4 of the way out it disappeared behind the hill. I then stopped pedaling and just sat there on the seat of my bike. It was if I could sense it was over. So I just sat there for a few and realized it wasn't coming back. At which time I returned to Ball Park.
Occurred the 7th of July 1993. Location, Paragon. In shape, light. Duration, 4 minutes. Characteristics, the object emitted other objects, and electrical or magnetic effects. It was the most amazing thing I have ever seen in my life. Hi everyone. I just wanted to tell everyone about the sighting our family had. I believe it was in 1993. It was in the summer, the time was 9 or 10 p.m. I believe the month was July. We were watching TV and all of a sudden, the door came open. It was my brother. He said there was a UFO. I thought, yeah, I bet. We all got up and went outside. There was a very big and very bright green ball moving across the sky from east to west. At times a red glow was under the object, and little red objects would move out from the bottom of this red glowing corona. The sighting didn't last very long as we watched the UFO go behind the trees in the west, and as it went behind the trees, we were all watching the skies, and all of a sudden, a very bright green light shot up from the ground into the air. The light was in the shape of a V. I have never seen anything like this in my life. It was a very bright green and in the shape of a perfect V, and the green light slowly faded away. We were all so amazed at what we had just seen, and were trying to figure out what it could have been. We talked for a minute or so and my mom went it to the house and we went in with her. She got on the phone to call my dad and tell him what we had just seen. She tried dialing the number where he works and a voice came on the line and said this is an international operator and your call did not go through, and the line went dead. In a few minutes the tone came back, so she tried it again, and the very same thing happened again. She would keep trying, and the same thing would happen. In an hour or so the phone started working normal again. We thought we had seen the UFO crash, so we got in the car and started driving toward the direction of the bright green flash. We looked for hours but didn't find anything, so we all went home and went to bed. The kids were a bit scared, but in time all went to sleep. That is my UFO encounter in the summer of 1993. I am posting this because it was one of the most amazing things I have ever seen in my life, and also to ask others out there if they might have seen the UFO. If you did, please let me know. I live in Paragon, Indiana.
Occurred July 17, 2004. 2100 Location, Paragon. In shape, rectangle. Duration, 15 seconds. Characteristics, there were lights on the object. The object made a sound. It just looked strange. I was going to the store, and had stopped at the stop sign, and I saw a small blue light way off to the north. Then in no time the object was almost right on top of me. Then I saw a green light to the right of the center of the object, and then what I seen next freaked me out. It was a huge flying rectangle, and it was all black. It was so big and only about 200 to 300 feet off the ground. Just before it went over my car, I opened my door really fast and heard the sound of its engine. It sounded like a plane, but it sure didn't look like one, at least no plane I have ever seen. When I got to the store, there was a guy working outside and he seen it too. He told me he thought it was going to crash. So you can see just how low it was. Can you guys there at MUFON find out if there was some kind of military training going on that night? If anyone else seen it, please let me know.
Occurred, the 9th of March 2005, 1700 location, Paragon, in shape, cylinder duration, about 3 to 5 seconds characteristics. There was an aura or haze around the object. It was about 4 p.m. today when a few military jets flying southwest and very low altitudes went right over our house. Then about an hour later, I heard a helicopter coming from the southwest. As I watched it go right over me, it was pretty high and going to the northeast. I saw an object like nothing I have ever seen before. It looked like two very large cylinders side by side with like a cloud around it or like a mist, but I could still see the object moving off to the northeast very fast. It was partly cloudy but was in a blue part of the sky. I could only see it for about 3 to 5 seconds. It was very high in the sky.
Occurred, April 13, 2013, 2200 location, Paragon, in shape, sphere duration, 30 seconds characteristics. The object landed two bright pink to red sphere shape dropped exactly straight down behind or within the trees.
My son spotted the two bright pink to red light from inside our home, then yelled and pointed.
We ran out to the front porch. We live in the country, so I'm guessing they were a half-mile away from us in the woods. They were about 50 foot apart and about 40 to 50 foot in elevation difference of each other. Completely silent as they dropped exactly straight down behind the trees. As we first seen them, they were approximately 200 to 300 feet up.
Occurred, the 1st of July 1971, 2000 location, Morgantown, Martinsville area, in shape, other duration, 1 minute characteristics. There were lights on the object. It was the summer of '71 in southern Indy when the spacecraft was sighted by 7 people. I was a teenage camp counselor at Waycross Episcopal Church Camp near Morgantown, Indiana. It was a camp in the hilly, wooded area of southern Indiana. We had just put the campers to bed in the 6 cabins, and 7 of us counselors, ages 17 to 23, were sitting on the bathhouse steps talking quietly, as we did every night for an hour or so after the kids went to bed. We could see all 6 cabin doors from the bathhouse steps, and a wooded hill rose behind the cabins. Off to our left and on a small hill, in the mowed area of the camp, was the camp owner's ranch house. Suddenly a ham-can-shaped flying object came over the hill behind the cabins and flew past us to stop and hover over the owner's house. It was about the size of the house, and it had white-yellow lights running around the side of the ham can. We were all shocked, and we stood up and grabbed each other, asking what we should do. 2 of the female counselors and 1 of the male counselors started crying, and we were all talking at once. The craft hovered silently over the house for maybe 30 seconds. Then it rose up in the air and then zipped at an amazing speed back where it came from, over the hill behind the cabins.
Occurred, the 11th of January 1978, 8 o'clock location, Mooresville, in shape, other duration, 15 minutes. Summary: a bright object follows 2 women home and gives a show. My sister and I were heading home from work to her house, when we saw a very bright object out the passenger side window. It looked like a small sun and was heading in the same direction as we were, which was east. We were on a straight country road and the object kept pace with us. When we turned north, the UFO turned north also. As we pulled into my sister's driveway, we were facing east again and the UFO was over her backyard. We walked to the back, clutching each other in an arm lock, and standing in awe, we observed it hanging motionless in the sky. It seemed to be putting on a show just for us, because it split in 2 parts and then 3, forming a large triangle in the sky overhead. Each time it split, it became as brilliant as the first object. There was no noise detected. All the objects started to rotate in the sky, keeping the triangle shape. We kept asking each other, "Did you see that?" Finally, the objects moved slowly off to the south and disappeared. We had a house full of people inside, and we were so much in shock that we didn't go to the window and tell them to come out and see. My sister had a better encounter, but that is her story.